You stop asking for what you need and you just kind of go through the motions. This is what it looks like to live life in parallel. You're still married on paper. You're still racking up those years of being married, but you're not happily married. You guys are parenting together, but when it comes to your relationship as a couple, that's non-existent. So the only things you find yourselves talking about are the house and the kids. There's no emotional connection going on. And that's why resentment, when ignored, gets to feel really heavy because it's essentially the opposite of partnership.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood can change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I have finally made it to the point where I can record with my headphones fully over my ear because the kids are back in school. I'm so thrilled. While I had so much fun with them being home, I have to admit I like the space. They are amazing, but also they're siblings, so they can fight a lot. And they're still at the age where I have to keep one ear out so I can mediate issues and make sure they're not killing each other. And I'm just so appreciating this moment that I'm getting to record with having my headphones completely over my ear because they are so great at noise canceling that I couldn't do that when they were home for the summer. And so yay for back to school. They started back in school this past Monday, and my little baby's in kindergarten now, which is so crazy. But anyway, that is not what this episode's about. I just wanted to share my excitement with you over that because really it's about the little things, right? Today, we're going to be talking about resentment, okay? Resentment seems to plague a lot of marriages, and it can kind of be a showstopper for a lot of you. And it could make you really feel like something's wrong with your marriage. But what I want to share with you today is going to actually be the complete opposite of what you might be assuming or thinking or believing about your marriage because you're in this resentful state. I know that it's hard to feel annoyed or bitter or irritated or angry about your partner. And it's tough to be in that position. It's tough to wonder, how did we get here? How do we get out of this? Can we get out of this, right? And you might often find yourself asking, is this issue worth bringing up? Is it worth having a fight over? Should I just bring it up later? It's not a really good time right now. But then you deal with the backlash of it happening again and again. And so something that might have started off small has built up over time. And now you find yourself snapping at your partner a lot more easily. Or maybe you've completely disconnected and you're just like, you know what? If this is how it's going to be, then we're just going to live our separate lives, but still be married, still co-parent, still live together. But you do your thing, I'll do mine. You stay on your side, I'll stay on mine. And we'll just do life like this until we have the energy and the time to sort this out, if we sort this out, right? That's resentment, okay? It's not just frustration. It is built up frustration that hasn't been dealt with, that hasn't changed. And what I want to offer you in this episode is to not just look at resentment as just another thing that makes marriage hard, but rather insight, right? When we feel resentful, that's insight into an opportunity to make things better. It's a chance for your marriage to grow. Okay. If you have that dream, that for your marriage to last decades and be quote unquote successful, for you to wake up when you're 80 years old and have a smile on your face about getting to do life with your husband and feeling happy to be around him, feeling like life is so good together, you're going to want to listen up, okay? Because it's when we don't do anything about resentment that gets us farther off track from that vision of being happy, being grateful about your marriage later on down the road. So let's dive into what resentment actually is. Okay, it's not just a nuisance, it's not just an inconvenience. Resentment is when you are having an issue with your partner about an unmet need or about something that is continuously happening that you're not okay with. Resentment is a sign of you desiring something to change, right? I want you to think about resentment as like a flag being waved. You're feeling that resentment because something needs to change. And when we don't address that need that our emotions are bringing up to us, and we choose to silence it, we choose to push it down, that's when we experience the discomfort, the suffering from resentment. Okay? Because when you're resentful, that's built up stuff, right? It's like a strong degree of discomfort, a strong degree of frustration. And instead of expressing it and creating an opportunity for things to improve, you're forcing it down, essentially putting it into a pressure cooker where the only thing that can happen is that it can increase its discomfort for you. It grows into bitterness. It lowers your tolerance for being able to handle. It lowers your tolerance for being able to experience it. And so you're going to snap a lot easier. Things that seem little can have you reacting to it like it's something huge. Okay. And it often shows up when you're always handling things regarding the kids. And this can show up in various ways. And here's how it can often show up as where perhaps you are feeling like you're the only one that always handles the kid routines. And so you're burned out. Or you're the one that takes on the entire mental load, remembering everything, like everybody's birthdays, remembering what size everybody wears, making sure that the clothes that they've outgrown are being switched out, and just having everything for everybody ready and having you keep track of it, right? The planning, the things that happen behind the scenes where it seems like life just magically is perfect for everybody else, but you're that hardworking magical fairy that is putting in all that blood, sweat, and tears that nobody notices. Or you keep saying yes to things that you don't want to do because it feels easier than making it a problem, right? Like, oh, well, I'm better at doing this than he is, so I'll just take care of it. And while in the meantime, while in the background, you're not actually happy to take care of it, you are begrudgingly taking care of it. And another one is not getting your needs met, whether you're not having enough time for yourself, you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel supported, and you feel like you are not a priority. Now, with that said, no matter what bucket or multiple buckets you fall into in your marriage right now, know that feeling resentful is not a character flaw. This is not you feeling ungrateful, okay? This is your mind and your body saying, hey, I need you to pay attention because how we're doing things today is not working for us, and we need something to change if we want to feel. Now, here's why continuing to feel resentful and doing nothing about it is a problem. When we don't address resentment, it does not go away. It festers, right? Like earlier, I said it's kind of like using a pressure cooker where you're just stuffing your problems into the pressure cooker. And what's it going to do? It's going to apply more pressure. You're going to pop your lid. And when we choose not to do something about it, or if we choose not to go get help, if everything that we've tried isn't working, it sets our marriage up for failure because connection becomes impossible. You start to see your partner as the problem instead of your teammate. You start to shut down a lot more often. Your emotions start to get triggered a lot more easily, which means that you're going to likely have more arguments, or you're going to withdraw and assume that it's pointless to bring things up. And so communication starts to break down, whether you're having blowups or you're having no conversations at all, and you're just spiteful against each other. Either way, neither of those methods and approaches get you what you need. Neither of those help your marriage grow to become better, right? Because with these issues, you can choose to tackle them head on and learn with each other on how to approach things better and evolve as a couple, strengthen your foundation as a team and as partners, or you can let it be the demise of your relationship. These are the two choices that you have. And when we choose not to do the work to help the marriage grow, this is what leads to sustained disconnection, where you stop asking for what you need and you just kind of go through the motions. This is what it looks like to live life in parallel. You're still married on paper, you're still racking up those years of being married, but you're not happily married. You don't feel like partners. You guys are parenting together, but when it comes to your relationship as a couple, that's non-existent. So the only things you find yourselves talking about are the house and the kids. There is no emotional connection going on. There is no growth of that connection. You guys are not doing anything to nurture your relationship as a couple. And that's why resentment, when ignored, gets to feel really heavy because it's essentially the opposite of partnership. You guys are not addressing the issue, or if you are, you're not addressing it effectively. So there is no partnership going on. And marriage is all about partnership, right? And that's going to affect the different layers that go into your relationship. And I was just talking about this with a new client of mine. I shared with her that marriage is made up of different layers, right? You've got your relationship with each other. You've got your relationship as co-parents. You've got your relationship as housemates. You've got your friendship, and you've got your relationship with yourselves. And when we feel resentful, that affects all the layers. And so it is really just poisoning the well that touches everything. Okay. Now, if you're in this place where resentment is taking over your marriage right now, and you are looking at each other with the side eye or rolling your eyes or not wanting to listen to each other, and everything just feels really difficult, where you can't even have tough conversations, let alone feel comfortable sharing the good stuff that's going on in your life, what needs to happen is you've got to start listening to your resentment. You've got to extract all the juice that resentment has to offer you. It's kind of like, when you have lemons, what do? You make lemonade. Okay, well, look at resentment as life handing you lemons. So you're going to squeeze that juice and make lemonade. How do we do that? I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you've got to get curious. So instead of criticizing yourself for not being a good enough wife or criticizing your husband for not being a good enough husband, I want you to get curious, because criticizing is just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you feeling angry and frustrated and looking to place blame somewhere. Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing that I don't want to be doing? Or how are things working? Or what isn't working about how we're doing life right now and what do I need that I'm not asking for. So use that resentment as a sign, not as a weapon against your marriage. Instead of blaming, use it as a tool to clarify what you feel and what you need. So for example, let's say you're sick of doing everything around the house and you notice that your partner is really good about taking downtime. So you can say something along the lines of, I've been feeling really overwhelmed with bedtime lately. Can we brainstorm new ways that work for both of us so that we can do this together as a team, right? And then start to check in with yourself on a regular basis. Don't wait until you lose your shit. Build a habit of asking, where am I overextending myself? Build a habit of checking in. Like, am I burned out right now? Do I find myself snapping at people a lot? Am I just generally irritable all the time? Where am I overextending myself? Where am I doing things that I feel like I should be doing, but I don't actually want to be doing? Or is there a conversation that I've been avoiding that I really need to have? Because that's my opportunity for things to change, right? You want to get to the point where you communicate before you reach the breaking point so that your conversation can stay a conversation and not escalate from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. You want to be able to express what's going on while it's still just a bit of a, I feel like this can be annoying over time, so I'm going to tackle it right now, versus I've been dealing with this for months and I am fed up. Meanwhile, when your partner is hearing you, they're like, what? I didn't even know that this was bothering you. This is the first time I've heard about this, and you're coming at me guns blazing. What is happening? That can feel like an attack, right? But when we bring things up sooner, you're going to be more in a headspace to listen to what's going on their side and work together as a team to figure out, okay, what are we going to do differently so that you don't feel like that, so that we can work better together, so that life can feel easier for everybody across the board, not just one person. And that's how you can create a more balanced, sustainable partnership together. Because we don't want to keep our partners in the dark. If you think that not sharing these things is saving your partner because they don't want to hear you complain about something, or you don't want to put another thing on their plate, I want you to eradicate that, because speaking up isn't selfish. It might seem like you are adding some burden to them, but it's actually going to do more harm if you say nothing at all. And then next thing you know, you're blowing up on them and they're like, what? Where'd that come from? Right? It is way better to say something earlier on, because that helps give them insight into your inner world. And when we do that, that builds emotional intimacy. When you get married, you got married assuming that, hey, I'm going to be the person that knows the most about you next to yourself. And knowing what's going on in someone's inner world, whether it's positive or uncomfortable, that brings you two closer. That helps you understand each other better. That helps you deepen your friendship, which your marriage should be based on, right? And that also helps us as partners know how to support our partner. And when we feel like we're better equipped to support our partners, we feel better as a spouse. They feel better because they feel seen, heard, and loved and supported. And it just all around does really great things for your relationship. Okay. So I want you to know resentment is not something wrong with your marriage. Every marriage experiences resentment. There are seasons that you're going to feel this a lot. Let's say like when things are crazy, like school is back in session and now you're back to doing that juggle where it's like, okay, who's going to take who where? Who's going to do pickup? Oh, this day they have this thing going on. We got to take them. And who's going to handle dinner while I'm doing this? And there's a lot of logistics going on, right? So resentment is not a sign of the health of your marriage, or lack of health, I should say. It's just an opportunity to grow. an opportunity to sync up again and work together as a team to help life flow better. Resentment is only unhealthy for your marriage if you choose not to deal with it. Okay. And you could say, oh, but I am dealing with it. And to that, I will say, is it working? If it isn't working, then the next step is to get help. Okay. Because choosing to be like, well, I don't want to get help. We're just going to keep trying, even though what you're trying is not working. That is also unhealthy for your marriage. Okay. Like A for effort. And I'm glad you're doing that. But you also have to recognize, is it time for us to get help? Is this beyond the skill set that we have? Do we need to get more skills and learn how to work better together? Learn how to communicate better, learn how to problem solve better together, okay? Because it really could just mean that you need better tools so that you can create new patterns. You can help life feel easier together and know how to work better together, okay? And once you start listening to this resentment and you have the tools on how to deal with it, it doesn't become this thing that rocks your marriage anymore because you know something's popping up. Let's lean on our tools and use them so that we can move forward and protect our relationship and nurture it and help it evolve. Because your marriage with kids is a lot more complicated than your marriage without kids, right? It's going to need collaboration. It's going to need healthy communication, respect, connection, partnership, okay? So if what you're hearing in this episode is like screaming your name and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my life right now, know that there are things that you can do to help you get out of this resentment cycle. It doesn't have to be your entire marriage, okay? If you've done all the things that you can think of to do and it's not working, it's not time to power through it anymore. It's time to get help. And if that's you, then book a clarity call with me. Let's talk about what's going on, what the challenges are, and how coaching can support you through this so that you can get the tools to know how to handle this going forward. And resentment is just another stepping block for you to get even closer to the marriage that you envision for yourself come 30, 40 years from now. All right. Another resource I want to offer you is the Marriage 360 review. This is a good one for all couples to do. This is essentially a 360 assessment for you to identify where is resentment hiding in your marriage? What are areas of our relationship that need the most attention that will have the biggest impact on our lives together? Okay, so I will share the link to both in the show notes to book a clarity call with me if you are ready to take the next step in getting support for your marriage. And also the link for the Marriage 360 review that will help give you clarity on what areas your marriage could really use some attention. That's all I've got for you today. Start looking at resentment as a way to strengthen your marriage and get curious about it. And let me know how that works out for you. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Better yet, share this in your stories and tag me so that I can give you a shout out and thank you for sharing the show. And if you love this show, thank you for listening. And I would so appreciate it if you can show some love by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. I love reading them. It really lights up my day and it helps more people like you find this show and get the support that they need. I will catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.